Walked the dog a few times.
Dog will be knackered as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. And I'll get on the bike. I'm not running no more. I'm a bit too old for that. But a lot of the guys are running, and we're pushing each other. We're getting each other through it, and we're raising money. You know, and it's not about that. But of course, then that money can be put to good use by Prostate Cancer UK. But we're all unified, all the football teams around the country are unified by Prostate United, which is a great thing. I'm sure you've seen the shirt. I should have worn it actually, sorry, my apologies. But it's a great shirt, and you see some of the guys wearing it in the gym.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of All Wednesday. Not only are we live and in person, but we've also got a very special guest. Chris, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Joe. Yeah, all
excellent, good. Excellent. We're here at Sheffield Wednesday. Last time we spoke, me and you'd just come in. How's things been since then? It's been a fair bit happened.
I was going to say, yeah, it's a year, but it seems about 6 or 7 years rolled into one. It's been a brilliant journey for everyone. Full of ups and downs, and in my short time here, I know that's quite usual for a Wednesday fan.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of what we did last year. I've got to say, the group of players and staff and supporters, there was a real good togetherness and synergy, which hopefully can carry on this year, and we're starting to see it again. But again, so far it's been a few ups, a few downs. Typical of a championship season, let alone Sheffield Wednesday. So we ended the last round of games really well before the international break, and we've got a big one coming up to set us off on 7 real important games, a few home games, the cup game down at Brentford, and then of course before the next international break we've got a little matter of a local derby. So yeah, it's all good for everyone. Yeah.
Could be a long 2 weeks for that, for one half of the city at that one. We're here to talk mainly about the work you've been doing with Prostate United, and so I want to touch on why you're doing it and why it's something that is so close to you.
Yeah, good question, Joe, and it's something that's very close to my heart. Been an ambassador for over 10 years now. And I just got involved through a mutual friend, a colleague, Gary Haynes, who used to work at Charlton, went to work at Prostate Cancer, and contacted me and said, it might interest you. And then when he told me about the stats, when he told me,
because the stats are crazy, right?
Well, I mean, let's talk about that straight away. 1 in 8 for men, 1 in 4 for black men. They don't know why, genetics or just don't know. We lose a man every 45 minutes. But there is hope, because I think if you catch it early, if you check yourself, I check myself once a year, normally around my birthday. I've got my check in a couple of weeks. You can keep it in check. I'm not saying you can stop it,
of course.
But while we're raising awareness and money, it's so the research can get better and better. There have been small breakthroughs, there have, but I think with an illness like this, where it's so complex that actually, we need a program. It's not there at the moment, but what we're trying to encourage is for men to go to the doctors, for men to talk about it, for men to tell other men, for women to tell their partners, their brothers, their dads, their granddads. Everyone has a role to play. Football's quite a captive audience for it, because majority of fans are men. So if you put it on the website, if people see that us here, the staff, raising awareness, and we're playing our part this month in doing 5, 10 or 15k every day, and let me tell you, it's tough. It's really tough. I've walked the dog a few times.
Dog will be knackered as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. And I'll get on the bike. I'm not running no more. I'm a bit too old for that. But you know, a lot of the guys are running, and we're pushing each other. We're getting each other through it, and we're raising money. You know, and it's not about that. But of course, then that money can be put to good use by Prostate Cancer UK. But we're all unified, all the football teams around the country are unified by Prostate United, which is a great thing. I'm sure you've seen the shirt. I should have worn it actually, sorry, my apologies. But, you know, it's just, it's a great shirt, and, you know, you see some of the guys wearing it in the gym, you see people walking around town, and I just think it's something that we have to keep on top of. We have to keep fighting it because we're losing too many people. And the good thing is, if you're worried, if you've got any of the symptoms, you don't always have to have symptoms, by the way, but if you're suffering, just go on the website on Prostate United or Prostate Cancer UK. There's a risk checker. You can check yourself in, you know, 30 seconds, a minute, and just go through sort of symptoms that you might be suffering from. And then if you are, go and see your doctor, or even call PC UK. They've got nurses, they've got people that will help you and guide you. And, you know, you're not alone, because sadly, you know, some guys might be suffering from it and don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
And that's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, that is dangerous. So it's massive that, you know, we're making people aware of it, and the sooner the better that you go to a doctor and, you know, and go from there.
Yeah, I remember reading a story last year about a fan that had sort of gone and got himself checked out because of what you'd said. And when you have stories like that, that must make, I suppose, renew your vigour to keep doing this, because, you know, one life saved is worth doing, isn't it?
Keith Smith, yeah, know his name. Apparently, he's got my picture on his desk. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's over 2,000 days now since he was diagnosed. He'll text me if he sees this online. He'll text me, and I know he'll see it, because he'll just mention how many days it is, and if he didn't do it, that he wouldn't have been able to spend those days with you know, his wife and grandkids and kids. And it's one of the best things I've ever done. You know, he saw me on the website. I was running, doing the marathon, which I won't do again. But again, I was just raising awareness and just telling people this is what I'm doing and why I'm wearing the badge. And I actually said, just check yourself if you're suffering. And he just said, yeah, I'm suffering from one or two of those things. Got checked, and they found out they had prostate cancer and another cancer as well.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so again, if you never got checked, all likelihood Keith wouldn't be here now. You know, and that for me says why it's worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we've kept one guy.
Yeah.
And hopefully we've kept more, but you know, it can be quite a private thing. I get that. But you know, Keith is a guy who, you know, we keep in contact, and you know, I'm glad that we do, because you know, it's made it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
Why we're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a big base of people here as well, haven't you, at Wednesday? Like, everyone's involved this year. I've seen so many of the coaches are doing the running and that kind of thing, like you mentioned. How nice is it for you to have that sort of collective of people?
Well, there was a good sort of link with Rob Lee, head of sport and science. He knows Ross Burberry, who's been involved in running for prostate cancer for a long time. And we mentioned about the challenge, and I know the guys, I know Gary and a lot of people at PC UK down in London. He knows Ross. So we kind of put our heads together and said, why don't we do something? So we've got the majority of staff on. We haven't got Danny, but you know, I can understand why.
He's a bit of a busy man, isn't he?
Just a bit, yeah. And but he runs and keeps fit, and he's been involved in the pictures, and he understands. And even catching someone like Dan and Sasha and Henrik that have come from Germany and Denmark, where we're raising awareness, they can tell people they know.
Absolutely, yeah.
When they go home. So even that in itself is a good thing. But yeah, majority of the staff are doing it. And it's quite funny actually, because we now say, I haven't done it so far. I mean, I got home yesterday, I did it at 6:30 at night.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I sit down, that's it. Got the dog, went out. And I think we're all, the hardest thing is actually fitting it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you do it first thing in the morning? Do you do it just after training, or you do it in the evening? So there's been some tough days, but it's for a good cause. It's for a worthwhile cause, and I'm great that everyone's aware of it. We've put posters up in the gym, and it's just making people aware this month. But for me, it's a 12-month thing.
Yeah.
It's not just for 1 month.
Yeah, something that you are constantly sort of working with. I know that you know with Prostate United, Prostate Cancer UK, you do a lot of work. This is not just a for now thing, is it? This is something that is like you say, a 12-month year-round thing.
Yeah, no, I've attended a lot of events. I will always speak, you know, whether it's online, whether it's on TV. I'll always do it because it's so important. It's the biggest cancer in men, and you know, I must admit, before I sort of came down on board as an ambassador, I didn't know much about it. You know, and it affects, particularly myself, it affects me more, but it affects everyone. You know, it doesn't discriminate, but obviously, you know, 1 in 4 is a big stat for my community. So yeah, you know, I implore all men to do it, but particularly black men, we need to get checked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully we can do our bit in helping do that.
Absolutely.
Hello, welcome back to part 2 of this week's All Wednesday. We're back with Chris Powell. Chris, we were just talking off there a little bit. You've got a pretty big engagement coming up soon, haven't you, with the royal family? How was that when you found out that you were going to be honoured by the royals?
Oh, I've got to say, you get a letter first. And
like a proper physical letter, like through the post?
Get a letter, and it's embossed with, it says, actually I think it was government embossed, if I remember rightly, not royal. And I opened it and it said, you've been put up for an award. And I actually didn't believe it. I was a little bit in shock, and I went into the house and I said to my wife, can you read this? She looks at me and I said, is it real? She said, well, it looks it.
Yeah. And
then I got a phone call a few days later.
So did you just do nothing when the letter came? Just like let it simmer, like just...
I did, yeah, because you it kind of sinks in, but then you're like, well, it's kind of real, you know. It is a bit surreal.
Yeah,
it really is. And then when you get the call, but then you're told you can't say anything for 4 weeks. That's the hardest part. Never told any of my family apart from my wife, my 2 kids. But then I was going on holiday. I was going to the Caribbean on the Tuesday, and it was being announced on the Friday in June. And you have to go through a number of steps with the people at Buckingham Palace, and about the statement they're going to put out about you.
That all must be really nuts, by the way.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. And actually, since then, I've made a couple of calls because you only allowed 3 guests, but I asked for 4 because I've got my wife, my 2 kids, and my mum's in her 90s, and she can go.
That's amazing.
So I asked specially, and they said, yeah, fine. But when you ring, they say, oh, Buckingham Palace, and you think, just called Buckingham Palace. Yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah, all systems go for that. And I've got my suit. When we had international break, I've got my fit in, so that's all done. So it's just sort of last minute details now, and yeah, it's in a couple of weeks that I'll be going to the castle, not the palace.
Yeah.
The castle, Windsor Castle.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Changing topic a little bit. One thing I wanted to ask you about, because I've been meaning to ask you about for ages, the little celebration you've got going at Wednesday, and the cheers that go along with it. The first time that happened, did you expect it to become what it's become?
Well, I didn't mean it first off, and I was looking back, thinking, how did it all start? And I think it was Stoke away. Anthony Masaba scored last minute.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Everyone loves a last minute winner, and we've had one recently at Coventry. But Anthony scored, and then the fans are by the tunnel at Stoke's ground. I know they've moved the fans now, but they're right by the tunnel. Everyone's euphoric. Everyone's really happy. And I just did this kick.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And it was Bambo Diaby on a Monday. He'd seen it all online, and he said, "Oh, what about the kick?" And I said, "What kick?" So I think it's one of those things that you sort of do and don't remember.
Yeah.
And then a couple of fans said, "Oh, it was great, and can you do it again?" I said, "If we win." And I have forgotten a couple of times, but majority of times I remember, because Danny's got to do his bit and Barry does it with the team. And now the fans are waiting for it, which is a bit bizarre, but yeah, it's great. It's just part of being, all together and, celebrating the wins, because, when they come around, you should celebrate them.
Absolutely.
So, and we make sure that we do.
Yeah, because it started off with like a one heel kick, and now I've seen you'll sometimes do 6 or 7. That must be...
No, not that many.
But it must be a bit tiring on the old legs, getting up that many times.
Yeah. I think 3's enough, 2 or 3. But it's great. It's great. The fans, I love what Danny does with them and Baz, and I think especially last season, when we needed points for obvious reasons, that there was this real togetherness, and we saw it in the last sort of 6 games where we got the points that we deserved and needed. And same this year, I think we've got to get as many points as we can as soon as we can. I think you get to the 50-point mark and you see where you are, and you go beyond that and see where it takes you. And I think that's what we've got to do, and just tick them off and get 3 points. And if it's not going to be for 3 points, can we get a point? Can we move on? When you look at our last week, West Brom, Bristol City and Coventry, 7 points, a good return.
Yeah, really good return.
Bristol City was a solid point. Wasn't the best game, but we didn't look like losing. I felt it was a good display all round. Could we have attacked more? Maybe so, but then when you back it up 3 days later with 3 points on the road, then that point looks even bigger and better. So, I think that's very important for us. Can you win the home games? Can you get a point or 3 on the road? Because it's important. It really, really is. And, so far so good in sort of how we've reacted to the sort of losses that we had previously. So, everyone's happy at the moment. Hopefully I'm heel kicking again this month.
Excellent. Wanted to ask about the fans. When we first spoke, about a year ago, I would imagine it was, you spoke about how you've been taken to the city already, by the fans and stuff.
Yeah.
That has developed tenfold, hasn't it? Like the way that the fans have taken to you has been fascinating to see. Not just yourself, but Danny and his whole team.
Yeah, I mean, I should be, or I shouldn't be surprised, because I've been here a year now, but I still am. I still am. It's like Coventry, and I don't live too far from Coventry. I'm in the Midlands, and all their fans, bar none, are like the best set of fans that have been here for a long time. And I've got a new vantage point now. I watch a lot of the game upstairs for the first half, because of we have set piece coach, analysts. We've got bigger staff. So I go up there, but I come down and I just look over in the corner and I just think, wow, playing for those fans, away from home, those fans at home. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It really is. A lot of teams would love what we have. I know that. I've been at clubs, whether I've played from or not, where you just look at the fans and you think, away from home, we're sold out. At home, we get 25,000 plus. regardless of who's coming. And I just think that it's mind-blowing, actually. It really is. Fans are proud of the club, they're proud of their city. I know there's a blue half and a red half, but even the red half, you know, I've met them and they've been,
can't get away from them, can you?
But they've been fine, you know, and actually, you don't get that too often.
To be fair, Chris, you're a very difficult man to dislike.
Yeah, well, we'll see when it's on Derby Day, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, people are good, people are honest, upfront, kind, speak to you. I'm a Londoner, so I know what it's like. You know, people are in a rush in London, you know, I'm not afraid to say that. People are in a rush in London, you know, and it is a fast city where in Sheffield, you know, people take time out to speak, people take their time, they'll say hello to you, they've got time for you, you know, and I love that, I think it's brilliant. You know, I'm proud of London, of course I am, but, you know, this city's just, it's bonkers actually, because it just, people got time, you know, and they want you to do well. They want you to do well, and I think that's a big part of it. I really do, you know. So, you know, I'm really proud of, you know, what we've done as a club so far. How Danny and Sash and Henry, you know, 'cause it's not easy for them. I think sometimes people, it's a bit easier for me, and Tom has been here a long time. Sal, we've been in sort of English football for a long time. But they've come in, they've had to embrace it, and they have. You know, and embrace the way of life and local restaurants and just getting around.
The amount of times I see pictures of Danny with a fan in Tesco or something like that, like he clearly has time for people.
You know, it's not easy for them, the families are not always here. So I admire them for how they've taken it on board, but it's part of it, you know, and if the fans see that you've bought into it, you're not just here, you're just working, you're not embracing what they're about, then people see through that pretty quickly. So, you know, we're doing that, and hopefully we can continue to get the fans to buy in, and we can continue to win. You know, the boys are good, the boys live in the area, there's a good camaraderie with the group as well, so that all adds to us hopefully getting to where we want to go to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before we wrap up, do you want to go back to why we're here in the first place? Do you have any sort of poignant messages? Is there anything in particular you want to share with people, aside from the fact that, you know, get yourself checked?
Yeah, I think everyone has a role to play. You know, it is aimed at men, but I think everyone got a role to play. You know, a young supporter could be watching this, a young girl, a lady could be watching it and thinking, well, it's not for me, but actually you're as important as me and you talking about it, because they could just bring it up in conversation at home, at work, with someone they love, someone they know, could be a friend, could be a partner. Just get them checked. You know, that check could be life-saving. And they could save someone they love life. They could do it just through making them go and get themselves checked, just even telling them about it and making them aware that they know that, you know, you may be okay, but get a blood check, take the wrist checker. It takes 30 seconds just going online. Everyone goes online. Everyone's on their phone.
Yeah.
Just go and do it.